Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as you can tell, I'm doing my 5-star books that I read in 2023, and it's about time because we're a good bit into 2024. So out of 116 books that I read last year, 14 of those I only gave 5 stars, which is good because like I try to be as strict as possible on my star ratings. So 14 is really not that bad. Okay, let's start with Finding 13 and Keeping 13, and I absolutely fell in love with the whole universe. Boys of Torment are my absolute world, and there is just nothing like the story that Chloe Walsh wrote. Like, there just isn't. And it's not just this cute fluffy romance. No. Yeah, she's a little bit of a damsel in distress, but Johnny Kavanagh, he's chef's kisses, he's just the best boyfriend ever. And there's a lot actually happening in these two books, and I feel like 4 out of 5 times if I was to recommend this book, like, you'd love it. Now there is a 1 tiny % of chance that it's a hit and a miss kind of book, but if you like, that writing style of Chloe Walsh is absolutely impeccable. A Court of Mist and Fury, I mean, if you've been living under a rock, A Court of Thorns and Roses is just one of those series, like book series, that absolutely blew up, and I feel like it's everyone's favorite book unless the last book in the series is your favorite, which it was not. But it's a slow burn romance, it's a fantasy, it's high stakes, it's everything, and I just remember I was crying at the end. My heart was broken at the end of it. So it's a lot, and that is the first fantasy series that I read that I absolutely fell in love with, and it's the series that made me fall in love with fantasy and reading more of it. So if you're wanting to read something, try out fantasy books. Start with A Court of Thorns and Roses, like 100%. I feel like you will not regret. If you read A Court of Thorns and Roses and you absolutely loved it, I feel like you will absolutely love and devour Rhapsodic. And I've never read a romantasy that I absolutely loved as this one, and this really is the definition of a romantasy. So it's mostly focused on the romance aspect of it, but also there is a whole plot happening. So the FMC, she has a bracelet full of black beads, and you get a bead for each time you've asked for a favor, but for every favor you've asked, you need to basically give a favor back in return. So it's an IOU for IOU kind of situation, give or take. And the person who gives out these bracelets, his name is Bargainer, and so he also has a dual identity, and he's a fey king, and there's this whole fey world, and the FMC is a siren. So there's a lot happening, and both of them team up to solve the issue in his fey world, where people are coming back in glass caskets. So there's a whole mystery to it as well. Now, Sweetest, Oblivion was the first mafia romance that I read, and I absolutely loved it. The start of it was a little slow, I have to admit, but once I started reading it, I could not put the book down, and I absolutely loved it. And even now that I read it, like, it's just, there isn't a mafia romance that I read that's as good as that one. And I still think about it like every so often. I'm like, oh right, it was just so darn good. Now, Belladonna is the book that I read, and the book that made me fall in love with the whole gothic-esque vibe about it. Like, there is romance to it, and it's just the way that it's been executed. I just haven't read anything like it before, and that, we all know, isn't that it's an actual person that comes. It's something along the lines of a hooded person with a scythe that comes, you know, after your soul and your body and everything. But I just thought it was really intriguing because the FMC, she teams up with that to kind of solve this mystery that's happening, and it is enemies to lovers kind of vibe, and it's so good. If you're looking for something gothic-esque, try it out. Just try it out. Wishes is a book that's a dark romance book, but it's not as dark as the other dark romances. I feel like if you are wanting to try out a dark romance, maybe this would be a nice little steppity step for it. And this is the book that made me fall in love with LJ Shen. Just the way that she executes her romance books is just like something about it. I really love this book, and it's the whole enemies to lovers kind of vibe, and there's jealousy in it, there's other tropes in it, everything that you want in dark romance. I feel like this is kind of getting it. Now, the only non-fiction book that I absolutely loved last year, and it was My Body by Emily, and just the way that she wrote the book with just the most honest thoughts about the whole feminism and what she experienced being in the industry of being a model, an actress, among all the other things, and she was just being so raw and honest about it, and I just couldn't put the book down. Especially being a woman being treated as a commodity. Now, it was really interesting to see her point of view on it. Now, another Chloe Walsh book on this list. Are you surprised? Because I'm not. I absolutely love her to pieces, and it's Treacherous. So I just love the drama that she brings into her books, and there's a lot happening, and I just love the characters. It's not just about the story, it's about the way that she writes it. And I mean, I have to say, like, she really is a brilliant author. Now, the Happy Ever After playlist, this is the only one on the list that's kind of giving fluffy rom-com vibe. So there's a whole lot of comedy to it, but then it's really empowering about the healing and loss and the trauma, and it's so beautifully written. And this is actually the book that made me fall in love with Abby Jimenez's writing. Her books, like, they're very unique in a way. So yes, there's comedy, but there is more than just romance. Like, there is deeper things that she kind of writes about, and this one was so beautiful. The way I used to be, you know, this book, it was heartbreaking, and from the very first page that you're reading, you read your trigger warnings, because this one is about SA, and it's not the kind of book that you feel happy reading, but it's a very important read to get through, and it just shows you what it's like to go through trauma, what it's like carrying that trauma for years on, how it impacts your life, your friendships, relationships, family, just what is going on through your mind. Yes, at times I was getting really frustrated at the character because the way that she was speaking to people, the way that she treated people, but then keep in mind she went through this awful thing, so give her some credit. But I loved, and I couldn't stop thinking about the book, so yes, it well deserves 5 stars. Well, hello, if it isn't another fantasy book on the list, and this one is Daughter of No Worlds, and it's absolutely beautiful. Now, if you read Guild, this is where some of the concept is coming from, because I feel like Daughter of No Worlds is a fantasy with high stakes, and it's so beautiful. So it's about a former slave and a reclusive warrior who is trying to get out of the war, and it's the dark magic that kind of binds them together, and he's helping her to get evaluated by the orders. Like, there's a whole plot happening, and the slow burn is really slow, but it's so good, because I remember at one stage how heartbroken I felt for these two characters, and with everything that was happening, and there was this massive plot twist, and I was just like, no way. Now, the only copy that I do actually have on hand, which is in a physical form, and it's the Hawthorne Legacy, and I absolutely love this one. The first one I loved, don't get me wrong, but this one definitely deserved the 5 stars. Usually I feel like the second book in the series is way better than the first, which, I mean, clearly with not some of these books in the series, but I just remember the fact that, like, the mystery was so good, and the love triangle, the only person who is gonna do them right is Jennifer Lynn. Like, she's the only one that can do them the right way. The romance is a subplot in here, so it mostly focuses on the games, and so if she was to die, what would happen with the money? So she's being hunted for, and she has this mystery happening of how to solve it, so it's really good. And then last but not least, Malibu Rising. So it's a historical literary fiction, and and it deals with the complexities of the family members, relationships, fame, just everything and every decision that led to this one night in Malibu, and everything that's happened on this night is dramatic effect. It's like the whole drama is happening on in this night, and you kind of get to see slowly how everything led to that night and how everyone's lives change after this one night. I swear Taylor Jenkins Reid just does her story and plot so well, because there were a couple of plot twists I didn't see coming, and I was like, Taylor Jenkins Reid, did you really just do this? But yeah, that's all the 5-star books that I've rated in 2023. So it's kind of nice to kind of look back at the year and see all the books that I absolutely loved. And yeah, let me know which 5-star books you rated in 2023 or even recently, because I'm always looking for another book to add to my TBR, my never-ending TBR, if I may add. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.